have a vendors meeting a couple weeks before, and I go over that and I cover that and say, that's between you and the city. You do need to go, you need to pay city sales tax, but it's your business, you take care of that. So
I think that changed last
good.
year. As long as you're bringing
Right.
produce
No.
that you've grown and things,
That's right.
then you do not pay collect sales tax on it.
If it's a value-added product or
Like baked goods.
like baked goods,
Jams,
I believe, yeah.
Packaged stuff.
That's right. That's right. Or processed products.
How many of your vendors are actual registered businesses?
We have one who's actually registered agritourism. We have 3 of those. So the rest are just backyard gardeners who just happen to have extra and, we do not charge a vendor's fee at our farmers market. Our farmers market was started with a grant, and so we really wanted to make it accessible because we have like a suggested $10 donation, which really isn't deterring anybody from selling with us. But it was just a way to make it feel more accessible in a community that's not necessarily used to shopping at a farmer's market.
Our farmers market goes from May to September. Is that pretty standard? If somebody's looking to form a new one, is that based on the grant that they get?
It's not based on the grant you get. It's mostly just what works for you, or if you're just looking at the season. We go May through September, every Wednesday from 4 to 6, just a couple hours. And we chose that. We actually tried to extend it to October one year, and our vendors ran out of stuff. And whether that was, just the growing season or whatever. But what works for us is May through September. Now, I know there are some that go year-round. There are some that go into November. So that's totally up to you kind of thing. What works for your community, once again. Anybody else? Yes?
What is your population?
Our population for the county is 10,000.
For Nowata.
For the city of Nowata, 3,800. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. Similar. The thing about Nowata is we are declared a food desert. We have one grocery store in the entire county. We have one stoplight in the entire county. What am I talking about? So you can imagine how hard this is to keep local commerce going. I mean, people are going to either Coffeyville, Kansas, or they're going to Bartlesville, or they're going to Owasso, just south of us, to go grocery shopping and just to get anything. So we really, when we marketed this, we just really had to be intentional about who we were targeting. And I mean, the people that don't have transportation to those places, that's pretty well who we targeted, just to find a way. My dream would be to have a mobile market so that we could go into the northern part of the county, because even though we sell in the city of Nowata, I mean, there are people that are 30 miles out that are still in our county that can't get to us. So who knows, that might be my next project. Anybody? Cool. All right.
So, hi everybody. Again, my name is Cody Yount, and I am with the OSU OKC Farmers Market. It was established in 1996 with 6 vendors on just a little patch of green space on campus. Through vendor and customer support, we now have an average of about 50 vendors. That swells in the summertime when we have an abundance of growers around our area. So a lot of times when I do these kind of things where I'm in a one-on-one with a market manager, they always say, well, that's you guys in Oklahoma City, yada, yada, yada. So what I want to focus on today is some practical takeaways that is relevant no matter what your size of your community, of your market, no matter how many vendors you have. So one of the first things that I want to talk about today is consistency. I know that we kind of, when we think of farmers markets, we don't necessarily think of consistency, right? We think, well, we think of seasonality, what's available changes, yada, yada, yada. So what I'm saying is, in as much as you can, try and yourself as the manager be consistent. And also, how many of you guys are market managers? I can raise hands. Okay. And are any of you guys doing that full time as a job, or are you guys doing other stuff? So most of you, the overwhelming majority, you're doing other things, right? Besides just running the farmers market, right? Okay. So that's what I want to focus on today, because you're going to have other things on your mind. You're going to get busy. In the middle of the season, when you've got all these questions from vendors, from customers, you're going to forget stuff. So being consistent, and what I mean by that is whether that is a monthly newsletter via email blast, whether that is maybe like a weekly Facebook update, or maybe maybe you're really ambitious, or you're just always on your phone taking pictures and stuff like that. Maybe that's a daily Instagram story. Whatever it is, find something that your community can tap into and relates to and interacts with, and be consistent about that. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, social media is ever present, right? So maybe you as a person, because sometimes it's hard to distinguish yourself as a market manager and as a person. Maybe you yourself, you don't like one of these social medias. Maybe you don't like any, but you're going to have to use them. Maybe you just really don't like the Facebook format, right? If you have the local community, then focus on Instagram. Don't completely ignore the others, but focus on what you're good at. For us, it's Facebook and Instagram, which they're now basically together, so it makes it a little bit easier as far as advertising goes. I have one advertising account now, rather than one with each of those programs. So I try and always do at least once a week, I try to do an Instagram story, reminding people that we're still open, because we are a year-round market. People don't think about that. They don't think about farmers markets in Oklahoma a lot of times when it's 22 degrees outside. But remember, it's Oklahoma. Last weekend we had a 55-degree Saturday, and it was gorgeous, and we had a bunch of people come out. So I try and do that. I try and be present on Facebook. So whatever it is, be consistent. Along with that, are any of you guys like graphic designers or anything like that? A couple of you? Okay. So this will relate more to you guys, but there's apps, and I can send out links and stuff to some of these other ones, or you can find them yourselves, I'm sure. You want to be consistent with what I'm going to call a voice. You want to get to a point where because people are just scrolling, right? Either they're on their computer at work, not working and being on Facebook, right? Or they're on their phone just scrolling. You want whatever you're posting, your email blast, whatever it is that you're focusing on, you want it to be distinctly you. You want your voice to be known, right? So whether that's your aesthetic style, color scheme, maybe a border, a frame for pictures, or maybe you just are, a good photo editor and you have a certain vignette that you use, right? You want to have a style, you want to have a voice. You want people to recognize you and your brand. Pardon me, I've been a little under the weather too. Because that's essentially what you're doing. You're developing a brand, right? You're marketing. On top of that, once you kind of establish that, and it'll change, right? You don't want to do the exact same thing, because then it gets stale and people will start to overlook it and won't capture their attention. You want to use colors that pop. And I apologize, I had some slides up here with some examples, but I sent it in the wrong format, so I wasn't consistent, right? Oh wow, I also just realized that it says be consistent when marketing. That was actually completely unintentional, so I'm glad we're kind of all on the same wavelength here. That's pretty great. That's actually really funny to me.
I'm glad you explained that for me.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So we're being consistent, right? And that is important because, like I said, in the heat of the summer, when you're busy, when you're hot, when you're tired, when you're thinking, this isn't even my real job, why am I doing this? You've established this into your weekly routine. It's like clockwork. You don't even think about it at that point. You just do it. So that's what I mean when I say be consistent. On top of that, when we're talking about marketing, you're going to find, and sometimes it's going to surprise you, you're going to find that you have people in your community, I don't care how small you are, because of the way the internet works, you're going to have people that have an oddly large following, or like a group that they can connect to, and you want to tap into that as well. It also makes your job a lot easier. There's this wonderful thing called reposting that is very helpful. So you want to find the people around you. You want to cultivate a relationship, not in a creepy way, but you want to cultivate a relationship with people in your community who already have a following, who are what you hear this all the time. They're called influencers, and I think that term's overused, but I digress. You want to tap into those folks because they already have a reach. If you're new or you're just starting your social media and stuff like that, those are the people you want to connect with because they can, put something out about you, and then immediately you'll have a wave of followers, right?